Val Demings challenge at first ever LGBTQ voting center. If we turn out, we win. Well, Florida Senate candidate Val Demings visited the heart of the LGBTQ plus Florida on Saturday to issue a clear challenge. She was the first candidate to dedicate the opening of the Get Out the Vote Center on Wilton Drive in Fort Lauderdale. The center is the first of its kind in America that opens a large clubhouse of types for the LGBTQ community and candidates that embrace the LGBTQ plus community. Congresswoman Demings is just the first of dozens who will visit and continue to keep the need to get out the vote front and center leading up to the November 8 midterm elections. Demings arrived on her campaign bus to a large crowd that included dozens of statewide and local politicians and a large number of LGBTQ plus community supporters. Demings is in a statistical tie with anti-LGBTQ Senator Marco Rubio. Rubio continues to run television ads that demonize the LGBTQ plus community, including drag queens, the trans community, and more. Demings' message was simple and clear. If we turn out, we win, quote unquote. She asked the South Florida, an estimated 1.5 million Florida LGBTQ community to help her get out the vote. She concludes, if we turn out, Demings and other pro-LGBTQ plus candidates will go to school boards, commissions, the State House, and to Washington, supporting the LGBTQ community. Many speakers, including Lieutenant Governor candidate and Charlie Crist running mate, Carla Hernandez, one of Florida's greatest opponents to Governor Ron DeSantis's Don't Say Gay initiatives, was present and spoke. The Get Out the Vote Center is a future model of the entire LGBTQ community and was created in a partnership with the Dolphin Democrats and the Florida LGBTQ plus Democratic Caucus. The voting center will be open daily until the November 8 election.
You know what? That was so absolutely wonderful. I think I'm just going to go back out, get on the bus, and come back in here and do it all over again. It is such an honor and privilege and pleasure for me to be in Wilton Manors with you. It feels so good to be back. It feels so good to be back with you. And guess what, y'all? We have an important election that's right around the corner. But I came today to tell you something you already know. But let me just reinforce it. When we show up, we win. Oh, come on, y'all. Let me say it this time. When we show up, we win. Yes. When we show up, we win. Yes. Stephen, I want to thank you so much for your leadership. And hey, congratulations on the new center. Give yourselves a round of applause. It is so exciting. No, I love you more. I love you more.
Well, I was present at the event. I've interviewed Congresswoman Demings a number of times. This is a big pinnacle moment for LGBT in South Florida and Florida. She basically challenges us to say in community, we're either going to show up or we're not. It's really a simple binary decision. We are or we aren't. If we do, we win. If we don't, we won't. And it was an interesting day. I appreciated her shouting out the value of this new center. It's really historic in America that something this large and so visible in community in the final month before the election would open on Wilton Drive. How appropriate. that Wilton Manors would be front and center in American politics for LGBT. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next month. You know, at Core News Tonight, we're going to report on it every step of the way.
She hasn't stopped since we saw her at Stonewall, right? Since you interviewed her on the stage of Stonewall. You can tell by her voice. That woman has not stopped.
Get her some hot tea.
Right?
Well, or that someone should teach her how to speak diaphragmatically, because she'll have no voice when she wins, she'll have no voice to speak with.
Someone like Val will always have a voice, no matter what. She'll figure out a way. Let's talk about these horrible commercials that Marco Rubio has out. I mean, like, what is wrong with him? And he, of course, has to spotlight a drag queen, somebody from our community, right? And that drag queen, her name is Little Hot Mess, right? That's her name.
Who is not
from Florida. She is not from Florida. And you've got her front and center. She literally works in LA. I mean, like, what is wrong with this man? We can go on and on about how just nasty and crappy these commercials have been lately.
Well, that's because they cut one ad, drop in Marco Rubio's name, drop in congressional candidate's name. I mean, they don't customize them really outside of that. So they just say, oh, one LA drag queen, bad for all America, and that's where they go. Right. And one of the things, by the way, just tomorrow is the last day in Florida to register to vote. It's also National Coming Out Day. So come out and register to vote. If you've already registered, there's a good chance you've got one of these in the mail. Your vote by mail ballots are in. You can fill it out, drop it off. It's important to drop it off as early as possible, because let's say your signature on that you sign on the envelope somehow doesn't match what you signed 20 years ago when you registered to vote. They can call you. They can have you come down and cure your ballot, which means verify that it's you and get it counted. So the earlier you do it, the better chance you have of getting your vote counted.
So these are the absentee ballots that you're talking about.
Vote by mail. Vote by mail.
Vote by mail. Francie, I wanted to ask you specifically. Yes. You watch Val Demings' representation of people in color, people of color and community. What's your reaction to it?
If we are to have a senator who is Black, woman, and pro-LGBT, we have to turn out. So today I want to speak to the millennial community who are Latino, Black like me, and queer. Your vote matters. November 8th is just around the corner, and show up so we can break that statistical tie that you spoke about.
It's a statistical tie.
So how important is the center, Al, and why is it the first one? Like, I was literally looking, I was like, wow, it really is the first of its kind, like in the whole country.
Because it was interesting as I was there, John was there also for SFGN. It's interesting because being so visible on the drive, one of the things, it was the first opportunity. This was basically the grand opening, and Val Demings inaugurates it. It's so important because it allows us a place on Wilton Drive for LGBTQ community to go to. If you want to know anything about the election, a candidate, voting, anything, that's where you go. Every day it will be open between now and the midterms. Also, equally important is for candidates. Candidates coming into South Florida, Val Demings does not have an office in South Florida. So she's unofficially going to use the voting center, the LGBT voting center, as her headquarters in South Florida and Broward County and Wilton Manors. All of the candidates, statewide, regional, etc., will be coming to this location. And it'll give great opportunities for voices like John and mine and others to be able to elevate what's going on in this last month. And so that's what's really, really great about this incredible center. Again, a unique partnership with Dolphin Democrats and Stephen Gaskell of the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. One last thing that I think is super important. Over the weekend, Herschel Walker's campaign, just really very distressing news about the paid abortions, the multiple mandatory requirement for the abortion, the issue of the number of children that are available, and it's unseemly at best. Okay, that's Georgia's problem. That's not our problem in South Florida. But Florida got into the problem yesterday because our other senator, Florida Senator Rick Scott, is going this week to Georgia because he wants to show support of Herschel Walker. It is the representation of everything of why this voting center is so important, why a Val Demings is so important, why a Charlie Crist is so important, is we're watching people in a completely different way than what we watched Donald Trump want to win at all cost. And they will embrace a Herschel Walker with the news that has come out over the last 4 days and still say, but he's okay for us. Once upon a time, there was no Republican in America that could possibly accept what we've watched in the last 4 days of a Herschel Walker, much less of anyone of note in political circles. Florida's senator is going this week to support him in Georgia. It's a reflection of this literally is probably the election of a lifetime. Literally. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.